bedazzle them for lunch on Friday?
No. What I'm going to do is
Is Emily going to bedazzle
I'm
them?
getting the lines touched up, and then I'm going to have purple dye in the lines, and then get a little bit more purple highlights. And then I'm going to take, I think some type of glitter paint and do that, because the glitter sticky wasn't as good. Let's do that. I'm not wearing a hat. I don't think I'm wearing a hat. I'm wearing my cape though.
You have that palette of face paint.
That's on video.
That's in the pre-recording?
That's in the pre-recording. So, let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to... For those of you who aren't watching, I'm pointing to my shirt that says, "With that being said," this is a Rue Fitness podcast. I'm Bradley. This is
Sarah Altobello.
And we have a very special guest.
What up, y'all? This is Emily.
Emily Schneller,
In
co-owner of Rue Fitness. So it's good to have you here today,
I think
Emily.
This is my debut.
We've been in I think we've had a throuple before, but not since we've upgraded everything.
Yeah, not since we were like an official podcast.
So this is our first official throuple. It's
I guess it sounds better than saying something else.
Threesome.
Yeah.
But throuple is like a 3-person couple. Throuple.
All right. Learn something new every day.
So, and since a lot of people mistake y'all, I'll just say you guys are my 2 wives. So
Perfect.
We'll work with that.
Same person.
Awesome. Well, we are here today to discuss the 800-gram challenge. We just finished it up at Rue. It was something, we wanted to do something different, right? Where did it stem from?
There have been lots of iterations of nutrition challenges over the years. And usually what we try to do is kind of take the feedback that we got from the last one and make the next one a little bit better. But it seemed like it was just getting a little bit stale.
Right.
So we decided to turn it on its head and do something completely new this time.
Now, I know you guys discussed all this in your seminar. How do you think where maybe we focused on not necessarily weight loss, but habits and stuff before in the past on the challenge and compliant and not compliant foods. But this time we focused on an intake amount of vegetables, 800 grams.
Fruits and vegetables.
Hence the 800-gram challenge.
Yep.
Sarah, how do you think, what would you say were the big differences there?
I think we got a lot of people simply because we were gearing up for carnival season and in the middle of it, and we weren't saying you couldn't have anything.
Yeah.
So people thought that it was a lot more doable, and we just, by focusing on adding things in and kind of changing people's mindset and the way they approached nutrition, thinking of it from addition and not subtraction, we actually did see a lot of really positive habit changes, things that we had done in the past. And it was funny, by not focusing on them, we saw a lot of people make those changes.
Yeah, Emily?
Yeah, 100%. I loved the interaction that we got in the group. We had 73 people, I think, in the private Facebook group participating. And throughout the whole time, without us even really prompting with mini challenges or listen to this and post in the comments this, people were just naturally sharing recipes and photos and saying, hey, this happened to me today and this was really exciting, and I threw away a piece of king cake today just because I realized that I didn't even really want it. It just happened. And that was really encouraging. Just the participation in the group.
Do you know what type of king cake they threw away?
I do not.
Because if it was Dong Fong, then
we don't want to talk about that part.
That might have been a mistake. So, cool. One thing that I really recognized it was more of an awareness to me that normally I am getting a good amount of fruits and vegetables, but maybe what I saw when you're counting it, because we did a lot of weighing and counting and measuring, was how much a serving might actually be. Mm-hmm. Whether that's broccoli or asparagus, and it's a lot less than you actually think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think the
the other fun thing with this is I think sometimes in challenges past, people tend to get really stuck. They find some meals that work really well, and they do those over and over again. And while we do see people share recipes and great things, like Emily said, I've never seen people share so many different things. And that was really exciting because learning what serving sizes are, they might hit their grams one day, but they get pretty tired of eating that exact same thing every day. So they're changing it up. They're pushing themselves to try new things. And I feel like towards the end, plates were getting more and more colorful because they had to hit more grams than when they started, and they didn't want to eat the same thing all day.
Yeah. I really enjoyed, too, just the idea that we weren't so strict with everything. Like, if you didn't have access to a scale, no worries. Like, we'll give you a tool to eyeball it, you know? And just this idea of progress over perfection, I think that people really latched onto and saw positive changes as a result of that mindset.
Anybody have any dishes that struck you guys as like, oh, wow, never thought of that? Or
I really appreciated some things Renee posted, like his creativity, like using a portobello mushroom as the crust of a pizza.
I saw that. Things
really like
good.
that I just hadn't thought of doing it that way. So that was really fun. That's, I think, the big thing I remember, other than just like colorful plates. Oh, and Lindsay, sometimes as a meal, she would bake a sweet potato and add like hemp or roasted pumpkin seeds.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I haven't tried it, but I am fascinated by like the textures and all of that.
I also appreciated Lindsay's photography skills. Like, I could tell she would like put her plate by the window so the sun was hitting it in a pretty way. But it just brings you back to that idea that, you know, your brain is involved in the digestion process, right? And you eat with your eyes first. And when you make things visually appealing, it just makes the experience so much better. And by adding fruits and veggies and making your plates really colorful and making it a eye-catching, you know, experience, that can help just enjoy the process of eating.
Right.
What are some of the results you guys saw? I mean, I did a scan yesterday for a particular person, and they actually stayed the exact same. But she was surprised because she had been like doing her best Mardi Gras self the entire time. She was like, oh, all right, not bad.
I was having this conversation with Sarah yesterday. I think across the board, the results were mixed.
It was all over the place.
Some people had their best scans ever. Shout out to Peter Perez.
Holy moly, that scan was great.
Right. And some people didn't change at all. And it was just maintenance. Nobody went like severely in the opposite direction. And I think results mean different things to different people. For some people, just maintaining over carnival season and living your best life on the parade route is a win. You know what I mean?
100%.
But I did look at, you know, we're asking people to check in daily on an app. Did you do these things? And in terms of the people that I saw with their scan results, the people that were very consistent with checking in generally saw positive change.
Right.
So
yeah, and I mean, we went into it saying that this is just one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And even people that didn't see progress or maybe went back just a little, no, like Emily said, no one has gone crazy off the rails. But when I've talked to people, every single person has talked about, I feel stronger. I can't remember when I had this much energy. I'm sleeping better.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, progress or results can be subjective.
Yeah.
In terms of what are you measuring?
Yep.
You know? So, like, if you got your 800 grams of vegetables in, but you're also, like, eating a ton of other stuff, which I know maybe that wasn't the intention, but let's say they're, you know, it's Mardi Gras, right? So they're drinking a ton on the weekend or eating king cake in addition to that, and you're way over on calories. But there's still a big like health aspect to eating those 800 grams of fruits and vegetables. So even though maybe they gained some pounds because they were overdoing it a little bit with Mardi Gras, they could have actually gone healthier at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to Sarah about yesterday too. Like, we didn't test blood
Right.
as a result of, like, we didn't test biomarkers like that, like her cholesterol levels and whatnot. It is very possible to eat and see a favorable change in your body composition and not see a favorable change in terms of your health markers, right?
Yeah.
There was that guy that lost a bunch of weight eating McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? He was successful in getting his body into a caloric deficit and losing weight by eating that way. But if you looked under the hood and tested his blood and like looked at, is this person actually healthier as a result of eating this way? Probably not. So in the case of the 800-gram challenge, while somebody may have not seen a positive change in terms of their body composition, you'd be hard pressed to not see favorable change in terms of your health by incorporating more fruits and veggies. Right.
Right. Absolutely. What were some of the reviews you got from people?
Ashley Castro was a big cheerleader with this
the
one.
entire time.
She's like, this is my favorite challenge ever. And she said that she's even like taking it a step further, and she's looking into like incorporating some of these psychological like food habits as part of her work as a therapist. So I mean, at the end of the day, that was a big part of what this experiment was about. Like, what is the psychological benefit of adding more of the good stuff doing rather than restricting so much?
Something a lot of people have told me in scans because of that is acknowledging that it is a piece of the puzzle and that they are excited for what is next versus nervous about, okay, the challenge is over. I'm losing that structure. How do I maintain this now?
Yeah. That's another thing that I've gotten feedback on is it's sustainable. Absolutely.
Now, one thing I noticed that not relating to the challenge, and this might be a little bit off tangent here. Off tangent?
Off topic?
Off topic? No, I mean, it's still a topic. But
You're going on a tangent.
I'm going on a tangent. That's it. There we go. That's it. So during the 800-gram challenge, everybody knows I eat a giant salad for lunch, okay? Normally, it's like 1.5 heads of romaine. But in trying to, like, hit, like, maybe a 650-gram fruit and vegetable salad, I was doing, like, 2 heads of romaine plus a lot of other stuff. Now, one thing I noticed is in order to make that salad appetizing, I now had to use 3 tablespoons of dressing, which kind of threw my fat macros off kilter for the evening, where it made it really difficult to stay within the parameters that I was personally trying to hit for when I do decide to count. And one of the things that I learned is those extra 40 grams of romaine worth it in order to sacrifice or to increase my fat by, 15-20%, which is a lot in terms of compared to my carbs. Any thoughts about that?
It's a puzzle.
Yeah.
You are constantly rearranging to see what works best for you. And I think we saw that a lot, like people making lunches or breakfasts bigger to make the rest of the day easier, but when adding more fruits and vegetables, they were probably also adding other macronutrients into there as well. And so they were just adding food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just adding food will lead to weight gain.
Right.
In a general sense. I mean, there's more to it than that, but people shouldn't be surprised, right? But when you're noticing changes like hormonally, you've never felt better, or you've completely lost your craving for processed carbohydrates. That was
a big
that
one.
Valerie said. You have to ask yourself, is it worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Like Ashley's husband, I think by like week 3 asked if she was all right because they went to dinner and she like didn't go ham on the chips and salsa. I think was something she said. So that was a good one.
Yeah, one thing that people maybe lose sight in, they think they're in a challenge, right? They signed up for this challenge, so they're like, hey, I need to see some type of tangible results. But what they also don't realize is maybe, and maybe this is something we stress going forward, is that this is self-experimentation to figure out the puzzle that fits best. So it's one piece to the puzzle, but is this the right puzzle? Or, how do these pieces fit together? And it takes a while. It takes a lot. I've been counting macros for a while and realizing, well, if I have too many, vegetable carbohydrates, well, there's only vegetables aren't carbohydrates, but too many carbohydrates in my salad, then it's going to require more fat. If I have more fat, it's going to mess up my day. If I have more fat in my salad, I tend to feel bloated till the afternoon. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing that I have, so that I realize maybe if I back off the carbohydrates a little bit, have a little bit less fat, I feel really good after that salad.
Yeah. That reminds me of another thing that we kind of threw in. It wasn't as by design with the 800-gram challenge as it's written, but Sarah and I made the decision to ramp everybody up, and I think that was definitely a good idea.
And people definitely struggled with the last ramp up.
It was 400, 400, 600, 800?
400, 600, 800, 800.
Before we started, like when we were just talking about when we were going to launch this challenge, and this is absolutely what we were doing, and we were going to try this instead of our normal challenges, I started reading blog posts and things from other people that had done challenges, and one of them, she had run one. She was a CrossFit coach, I don't remember where, and very similar, like I tracked for like a week, I think, fully before the challenge started, and then I continued to track. Anyway, she did the same thing. She was going to track before she got her members into it, and she thought for sure she was going to be real close every day. First day she tracked, she hit 297 grams. And then the next day, immediately, she's like, I had no problem getting to 800, but my body was not happy with that. So right. I think it was a really good thing we ramped up.
You mean poop-wise?
Yeah. So adding a lot of fiber into your diet very quickly.
It's kind of crazy to me. And this, maybe I'm just wrong or just not. Maybe we eat a certain way or we practice eating a certain way. But like when somebody says they had a hard time hitting 300 grams of, fruits and vegetables, I'm like, an apple is like,
well, yeah, but like the standard American diet, which is,
I think it definitely depends on where you're coming from. As a nutrition coach, that part of what I do is I review food logs and see what people are eating. Mm-hmm. You would be shocked at all of the beige food out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that's just, are people afraid to explore? Is it habits built up over time? Is it kind of like, well, my parents fed me this, and so now this is what I eat, it's ingrained, and,
I think it's a little of all of that, and depending on the person, one of those factors might play a bigger part than another.
A lot of times it's pickiness, too. Like, people don't like them. And I think that's lack of, like, just being exposed.
Right.
But that is, like, they enjoy the turkey sandwich more than the salad, so that's what they're gonna.
So it's interesting you said you bring up turkey sandwich because no, this is
this one time.
Yeah, no. So like when I started counting my macros and I'm trying to hit proteins and other stuff, I found some really good bread that I like and I started eating sandwiches again. And I was having a hard time. I wasn't full just drinking a protein shake after my workouts or in the afternoon, and so I would go home and I would binge on food, right? And then I read that article about amino acid processing and stuff like that, and maybe if we can slow the process down by eating other stuff with it, we can absorb more protein. What?
I thought I made that recommendation to you.
You did, but I read an article, we showed it, we shared it. Whatever. Some super smart lady recommended this
she
to me.
She said some of the things.
Give me credit.
She did some of the research.
All right.
Here we are now talking about a turkey sandwich.
So when I was eating these turkey sandwiches, okay? And during the 800-gram challenge, I'm like, well, I'm going to beef it up. I might as well throw a couple of things of romaine on here, right? And what I found out is that I like it better with romaine on there. It provides more crunch, and it's actually a more well-balanced sandwich. And that's just my thinking about the sandwich changed. The point I'm getting to...
There is a point, ladies
There is a point. And maybe this sounds like a ramble or not. I'm not sure how it's coming across. I'm sure you probably lost track, and now you're folding clothes right now. But anyway...
we've gone off tangent.
Off tangent again. But, people tend to think there's like, either certain vegetables, there's only certain ways I can eat them, etc., instead of exploring all different kinds.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about it a lot with our kids. One thing that I was worried about with our kids as they transition to be a little bit older, when they were young, they ate every kind of vegetable and every kind of food we put in front of them. As they get a little bit older, they lose taste for it. And then we just kept giving them stuff and letting them try things. And we found out that while our kids don't eat cooked vegetables, they eat a lot of raw vegetables.
Yeah.
So celery, carrots, raw broccoli, our kids eat all of that. And so we give them that constantly. And I'm sure one day that will wear out and then we will experiment with some other stuff. But my big advice is to everybody, if you find like you can't find the right vegetables or something, like, play with it. Figure out different ways to cook it, different ways to, try it.
Different ways of cutting vegetables.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even makes them taste differently,
Yeah.
Yeah, people have a hard time believing that I was a very picky eater, honestly, until I was like 18.
Mm-hmm.
Through like middle school, it was like pasta, fried chicken, waffles. I love me some waffles. And then I thought I was really healthy when I got to high school and I started eating a boatload of Caesar salads, but like from Quiznos.
It's a 1,500 calorie salad with like
I used to love a Quiznos
60 grams of fat in it.
Right? Did you get the ones with the flatbread?
Yes!
Oh, so good. I don't know where
Off tangent.
Yeah.
Can I give a shout out?
Off
Can I give a
tangent.
shout out right
Eaters.
What?
now? I want to shout out to Mofo for their green curry with their roti bread. It's braised lamb.
So good.
It's got charred kale in it.
Alright, so what
It's
about
amazing.
you?
So anyway, you're a picky eater.
Oh, but my
Go to Mofo, get the green curry.
I think a big thing that helped was I got to college and I started dating someone older who like had a kitchen and
Good
cooked,
for
and I
you.
was
More mature.
Thanks. I'm winking. But I wasn't gonna like say no to non-cafeteria food.
Right.
So when he would cook these things that I was like hadn't been put in front of me the entire time I had been living with my parents, like I wasn't just gonna say no and be rude. And as corny as it sounds, my aunt used to always say she would just try everything once, and if you don't like it, you don't have to have it again. And so I was like, what is literally the worst thing that can happen? I eat one bite and that is it.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's very little I won't eat.
The worst thing that can happen is you could throw up on a romantic Valentine's Day date.
Your first Valentine's
Day date and leave that impression forever. That's what cucumber made me do. So
To this day, he's never had cucumber again.
no, and I can like if somebody puts it in a salad and then picks
You
out the
taste the
cucumber, I can
residue.
taste it, and I'm like, oh god, this is terrible.
When I eat cucumber in front of Bradley Schneller, he has like a physical reaction.
I gotta go in a different room.
Ooh.
I can like smell it. Oh,
I was just thinking though that was something else that I loved about it, was that it did encourage people to go outside of their box and try new fruits and vegetables. I'm 34 years old. My job is nutrition related, and I had never heard of like, what did Renee post? A unique fruit?
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh, and we were having, I think it was.
where do you even buy that from?
We had the
Rouse's.
baby shower at your house, and Kristen had never had what? Salad, or was it strawberries and pineapple?
I think
or something?
she's 36 too. So
Kristen's the most piggy eater I
And
know.
she went way outside of her comfort zone that day. It was great.
Kristen, if you're
blueberry.
out there listening, I hope you're still eating salads since then.
Eyes closed.
Yeah, we had to hold her nose, but she survived.
Baby bites.
Shout out, Kristen. Yeah.
I had a lemon plum. I'd never had that before, but like, it just opens your world to all this other stuff out there that you might not have otherwise tried, or stuff that you normally eat. Like if you normally eat eggs in the morning, hey, what if I just throw in some, spinach or peppers, or try to beef it up just a little bit and kind of.
That also makes it a more balanced meal anyway.
Right, but it just takes you out of what you normally do, and you're looking for opportunities to add these really nutrient dense.
Also,
foods
omelets
to your
taste
diet.
better with roasted peppers in it, so just a heads up, and onions. All right. Anyway, I want to get to it. Anything that maybe you did in the challenge that you would change for the future? Either of you.
I don't know. I only think if I don't think it needs to be longer than it is. I think potentially providing some sort of supplemental reading after the fact, just to talk about portions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it necessarily needs to be anything we do within the challenge, but
Right.
hey, if you're curious with how to incorporate this, and then, now that you have this piece of the puzzle, how can you start ticking off more boxes? Like, this is the next step, and just kind of pointing them in the right direction. But those 4 weeks itself, I don't know that I would really change much of anything.
I liked the way that it ran. I think that people learned a lot and tried new things, and I loved how excited everybody was for receiving their scale.
Mm-hmm.
That was funny
That
in
was
the
fun.
beginning.
That was
Everybody was
fun.
like, "Look what I got in the mail today!" And honestly, I was worried about having people weigh and measure because, for a lot of people, they had never done that before, and I thought that was a big ask to be like, weigh this food before you eat it. But people were pumped.
Yeah.
There was also this kind of this side thing that happened where people ended up supporting more local, business, going to farmers markets or being more sustainable. Like Rebecca mentioned, she would be really picky about her fruit, and if an apple had the tiniest bruise, she would just pass it up or throw it away versus just cutting it out.
Emily gets mad at me how I pick apples at the grocery store.
Did you not look at this at all before you put it in the bag?
I'm like, Emily, ugly apples are apples too.
Or Peter, what was the box he got?
You got a box of busted up vegetables.
Yeah, and my friend Holly in New
food.
York does that. And
Yeah.
it, A, that food is going to go to waste, but B, something that happened with her is you never know what you're going to get. And she's like, yeah, one time I got a bunch of onions, so I taught myself how to make French onion soup. And it was delicious. And I never would have had a reason to do that before.
I used to do that when we went to the farmer's market and you just got a box and you didn't choose what went in it. And I got home and I had all this eggplant and squash and I had to figure out a way to use it. So I'm like, ratatouille. Never tried this before. You know what I mean?
Here we go.
Now you know why they named the Disney movie after it.
Why? What?
I don't know. There's a Disney movie named Ratatouille.
Yeah, because it's a rat and he's a chef.
Oh.
And he makes ratatouille.
With
Holler.
eggplant. Got it, guys. All right. So, both of you run the nutrition department here at Rue. What's kind of on the horizon,
Well,
nutrition-wise?
I think the next step, if people liked this and they want to know more, know that it is a piece of the puzzle. It is not, nutrition, good nutrition is very nuanced. It's very person specific.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to go further in this journey, then sign up for nutrition coaching.
Yeah. Where can they sign up for nutrition coaching at?
They can go to rue.fitness and book an appointment.
So go to rue.fitness
Thanks.
and then
So descriptive, Emily.
you'll go to the nutrition page.
Right, okay.
Where you can either schedule an initial consultation, you can pick your coach, there's 4 of us, or you can schedule an InBody. And so if you don't know, that could also be a step, is just to schedule an InBody scan, see what the numbers say, and then go from there.
Awesome, y'all. Well, thank you again for listening. You can find us on Facebook at Rue Fitness, on Instagram at Rue Fitness. Make sure to like and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Spotify. And please give us a 5-star rating and leave a review. We super appreciate it. Let's end with this. Abs are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. So think about that.
Also, we are on YouTube, so if you want to see how
There you
darn
go.
cute we are, you can also subscribe to our channel on YouTube.
You want to see Bradley's shirt.
Holler.
And my lines. All right, y'all. Peace out. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.